This week, it's time to head to the dystopian future of Marvel's Merry Mutants with a Geek Crash Course on the X-Men to prepare for the upcoming film Days of Future Past. Oh, you're not in costume.
Guess I am. I'm going rogue.
Oh, I was thinking something more like this.
What? What's that for?
You know, the blue for your skin. You sort of add a little, mystique to the. What do you? Whoa! Oh, Charles! Super Charles! The X-Men comic series was first published in 1963 and focused on the story of the newly emerging mutants, or people who develop extraordinary powers at puberty. The original comic series was actually a sales bomb and was relegated to the world of reprints until the 1970s. With a relaunch as the Uncanny X-Men, the series took off like a rocket.
In 2000, the first live-action movie featuring Marvel's mutants hit screens with a big pile of sequels afterwards. The movies put a lot of focus on Wolverine, who we've actually covered in a previous GCC. The short version is Wolverine is Logan, a Canadian brawler with healing powers, a bad attitude, and razor-sharp claws made of indestructible adamantium metal that hide in his arms.
Actually, Wolverine lost those in his most recent solo film. He's back to bone claws now.
That is really lame.
I know, it is super lame. Anywho, returning faces from the previous X-Men movies include Professor Charles Xavier, also known as Professor X, who's the leader of the X-Men and the creator of the School for X-Men to help them hone their abilities. Professor X is confined to a wheelchair, but nonetheless is an extremely powerful telepath. He wants to share the world with regular humans, believing humans and mutants can coexist peacefully.
Eric Lehnsherr is one of the many names of Magneto, who's generally the X-Men's main baddie in the comics and the villain in many of the X-Men movies. Magneto can control magnetism, using it to manipulate anything metal and occasionally electronic. He believes in preserving the mutant race even at the expense of mankind, often getting confrontational and violent rather than attempting to settle his differences peacefully.
Kitty Pryde, also known as Shadowcat, can change her density, allowing her to pass through solid objects. When she passes through technology, she usually shorts it out.
Raven Darkholme is Mystique, a blue-skinned shapeshifter who can change her appearance and voice.
Aurora Monroe, aka Storm, can control the weather.
Rogue can drain people's life force with a single touch, so she wears gloves to protect others. When she touches a mutant, she can copy their powers. So, we shot our GCC on Days of Future Past yesterday, and today director Bryan Singer announced that Rogue was cut from the film. Whoops!
Bolivar Trask is a human who wants rid of mutants. His company, Trask Industries, is responsible for creating the Sentinels, giant mutant-hunting robots.
Bobby Drake is Iceman, who can create and control ice. He can actually change his whole body into ice, too. He has a romantic tension with Rogue in the movies and a relationship with Kitty Pryde in the comics, so expect that to get weird.
Hank McCoy, is also known as the Beast, is a brilliant scientist whose original mutant power was ape-like features, including increased mass as well as huge hands and feet. After trying to reverse his mutation via a serum, Hank actually mutated further into a blue-furred bestial form.
Lucas Bishop is a mutant policeman from the future with the power to absorb and redirect energy into concussive force blasts.
Peter Rasputin, aka Colossus, is a Russian X-Man with the power to change his skin into organic steel.
James Proudstar is Warpath, a Native American X-Man with superhuman strength so powerful that a single clap can damage a sentinel, and superhuman durability and resistance to injury, shrugging off grenade blasts in some stories. Warpath also has a pair of nigh indestructible Bowie knives, basically allowing him to be the only guy who can win by bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Get it? Claire Ferguson, aka Blink, is a teleporter. Anyone caught in the wake of her teleportation field, or blink wave, tends to get shredded, allowing her to use her teleportation abilities as an offensive tactic.
William Stryker is another mutant-hating human who's already appeared in 2 X-Men films. In X-Men Origins Wolverine, he ran the Weapon X facility that gave Wolverine his metal skeleton, and in X2, he captured Xavier and attempted to use his mental powers to kill all of the planet's mutants.
Alex Summers is also known as Havoc, and he can project stored cosmic energy as concussive force blasts from his chest, but he needs a cybernetic suit to channel the blasts into anything more than random destruction. In the comics, Havoc is the brother of original X-Men team leader Scott Summers, Summers, aka Cyclops, who could shoot force blasts out of his eyes. The movie timeline doesn't really allow for that connection, as Alex appeared in the 1960s set First Class, and Scott appeared in the 2000s X-Men films, unless Scott is Alex's way younger brother.
Pietro Maximoff is Quicksilver, a super fast speedster who, in the comics, is the son of Magneto. As with the Summers brothers, the film adaptations have played a bit fast and loose with the connections between characters, so the jury's still out on that one.
The X-Men movies so far have mainly been set in the present day, featuring an older Professor X and his students, the X-Men, battling Magneto and his Brotherhood of Mutants. But the 2011 film X-Men First Class rolled back the clock to the 1960s to show Xavier and Magneto meeting, becoming friends, and falling apart over a difference of beliefs. At the end of First Class, Xavier, now handicapped, begins to build the Charles Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, while Magneto heads down a darker path to fight for mutant kind by striking fear and terror into humanity. X-Men Days of Future Past will feature the first of 2 adapted versions of Quicksilver. The second version will appear in Avengers Age of Ultron, but writer-director Joss Whedon won't be able to call him a mutant due to rights issues. The Days of Future Past storyline, published in 1981, showed the terrifying future of mutant kind, hunted down and incarcerated in camps by the mutant-tracking Sentinel robots, designed by Bolivar Trask. The few mutants remaining have banded together in an attempt to prevent this future from coming to pass, sending Kitty Pryde's mind back through time into her own past body to warn the X-Men of an assassination that sparked anti-mutant sentiment and began the march towards the dystopian future of 2013.
The 2-issue story was instantly iconic due to its unique storyline and the nightmarish future it presented. It also helps that it's the first time Wolverine was ever shown dying, his future self fried to a skeletal crisp by a murderous Sentinel robot.
The movie will similarly feature 2 timelines, the first being the dystopian future of the 2000s X-Men films, and the second set in the 1970s after the events of X-Men First Class. From the trailers, it's Wolverine, not Kitty Pryde, who will be mentally sent back in time into his own body in an attempt to course-correct the future and prevent the war between mankind and mutants before it ever starts.
Days of Future Past hasn't even been released yet, and the sequel, X-Men Apocalyptic, has already been announced for summer 2016. Director Bryan Singer announced the film over Twitter via hashtags. Welcome to the future. Check out the first 2 X-Men films and X-Men First Class to get a good grounding in the movie universe. If you're feeling daring or drunk, give the third film, X-Men The Last Stand, a spin, but in good conscience, we can't recommend it.
Oh, also check out the original 1981 Days of Future Past comic 2-parter. It's a really solid story from the excellent Chris Claremont-written, John Byrne-drawn days of quality X-Men stories.
The original in-comic explanation for the term X-Men was that Xavier's students had extra power. We swear, actual comic balloon dialogue. What mutant power would you choose? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe for more Geek Crash Course.
Until next week, if you have any questions, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and our website, geekcrashcourse.com.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week
on Geek Crash Course.
It was a really good episode, dude.
We did a pretty good job.
5.
Okay. Oh, I see what you did. I don't like it, but I applaud it. It's a good move.
East meets West.